Hello, welcome everyone. I'm just giving TikTok a second to notify everyone we're going live. And then we're gonna hop right into another great session. So get your popcorn, get comfortable. We're gonna talk a lot about interesting things. And I'm gonna be answering a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions that come in through our different platforms, the website. And so I'm gonna be answering those questions on live. And hopefully you can learn a thing or two. So whether you're single or married and looking for a second or third wife, inshallah, you're gonna take something away and you're gonna benefit from this. Make sure if you're seeing me for the first time, you're following Collectively Married, and we're gonna dive right in. Thank you so much for that gift. Thank you. All right, we're gonna hop right in. A lady reached out and she said that she's in love with a man who's already married. Okay, and she's worried about her family and people judging her because she's been in love with this man. They're talking about marriage. He has another wife. She didn't talk about what the other wife's situation is. So sis, I'm gonna give you advice. Your family's already married, okay? And a lot of people, even some brothers say, oh, they want more than one wife, but their family tells them no, or they try to shame them. Thank you so much for the gift.
Wait. Could you start the advice again? Just because this was awful.
Okay.
And plus the new people can hear.
Yeah, for everyone that's just joined, I'm answering questions that have come in through the different platforms and through my website. So if you have any questions, you can ask on through there. But the question is, there's a sister, she reached out, she said she's in love with a man who's already married. And she's worried about her family and the people judging her, like friends and colleagues and so forth. Thank you so much for the gifts. So what should she do? And this isn't the first time I've seen this type of question. I've also seen it from a lot of men too, who say they want to marry more than one wife, but they're worried about the judgment of their families and their friends and so forth. Usually they don't say friends, they just say family. For women, they're worried about friends. And so my advice for you is, people are already married. Your family is already married. Your mom and dad are married. Your aunties and uncles are married. What does it matter what they think? Alhamdulillah, they're married. I've seen so many families that stick their nose in their adult children's business. I'm talking about adults, like 30, 40-year-old people. And they tell them, no, don't marry this person. When are they gonna get married? When they're 60? When they're 70? They found someone that they like. So what if he already has another wife? If he's a good man, he's treating his first wife right, and he's doing good by this lady, she's in love with him, he's in love with her, there should be no shame about it at all. So don't feel any type of judgment. Like, who cares? People will talk about you, they'll judge you, they won't talk about you, they won't judge you, because everybody also has their own problems. You have to think about it as, what do I want? There's a reason why they call it a soul mate. They don't call it a ask all my friends and family mate, right? What does your soul tell you? So when you figure out what does my soul want, and if your soul is telling you this person is good for me, he's a good man, he's treated his first wife right, I know he's gonna do right by me, who cares if you're a second wife? Let everybody else talk. They're gonna see how happy your life is gonna be. You're not gonna be as burdened as a lot of other wives that only have one man. You're not gonna worry about your husband cheating on you. You're not gonna worry about a lot of things that most women in monogamous situations are gonna be worried about. Jealousy is not going to be as big an issue because you already know he has another wife. So you're coming in understanding that this is the reality. And so for me personally, I'm going to tell you this advice. And I take this advice for me. Like, this is what I tell myself. I don't care what anybody thinks. If I'm good with Allah, that's all that matters. So are you good with God? Are you good with God? Are you good with yourself? She didn't say if she's Muslim or not. But I'm just assuming you're Muslim. Regardless, even if you're not Muslim, ask yourself, am I good? Do I care about this person? And go forward, marry whoever you want. Another question that I get a lot, because this just reminded me, thank you so much for the gift, is people will reach out to me, like women will say, oh, I want to marry this man, but he's like 10 years younger than me. Or guys will reach out and say, I want to marry this girl and she's like younger than me. Who cares? If you guys are adults and you're consenting, there's no shame. You know, in our society, there's so much fear of what other people say. Today, we're worried so much, what will people say? But people have their own lives. Like even you, for example, just think about yourself. How often do you think about everybody you've ever met? You have your own problems. You have your own life. You have your own things that you're doing. The reality is, maybe if you meet up with people, you might gossip a little bit about so-and-so and so-and-so, which you shouldn't. I don't condone gossiping. I think when people talk about other people, it's because they have small minds. You should be talking about events and ideas and, good stuff. But the reason I'm telling you this is, who cares who you marry? Like, a lot of sisters will reach out to me and say, I want to marry a black man, like Arab sisters, Indian sisters, Pakistani sisters. They'll say, I want to marry a black man, but my family doesn't allow it. Like, who cares? If you live independently, like you have your own income, you're living in a city far away from your family, you met a good man, you want to have sutur, you want to get married, you want to protect yourself so you don't sin, and he happens to be black, there's nothing wrong with that. He's Muslim, he's a good man. The color of his skin is not something that determines what type of man he is. And when your family tells you this, your family is wrong. Straight up, it's haram. And that is where you can disobey your parents. Thank you so much for the gift. So many people come to me and say, in Islam, parents are next to God. We have to obey them and all these things. Thank you, Max. Thank you, everybody, for the gifts. I appreciate all of the gifts. The idea isn't to obey your parents blindly. I'm sorry. You're 50 years old, 40-year-old people, 30-year-old people. Even if you're 20, why does God measure your sins at the age of 10? Right? They say, علموهم على سبعة وضربوهم على عشرة. Meaning, teach them how to pray at 7, and at 10 they are responsible for their own prayer. At 10 years old, you're responsible for yourself. At 10, you're given theirs. So you're coming to me at 20 and you're telling me, my parents said this, my parents said that. Nah, come on. If your parents are blindly following culture, and it's not even culture, it's just biases, it's just ignorance, then you say no. You stand up to them. You're supposed to treat them kindly. I'm not saying be rude and cuss them out and all. No. Just say, with all due respect, no. Go live in your own house. Thank you so much for the roses. You're paying your own rent. You have your own job. You have your own man. Find an imam that'll marry you, inshallah. May Allah have sutur on you, and get married. Protect yourself from all of this other stuff in the world today. In the world today, someone reached out and she said that she's been in a relationship for 5 years. And in that relationship, they were supposed to get married. Thank you so much for the gifts, guys. And in that relationship, she was supposed to get married. In the 5 years, she ended up losing her virginity. And they broke up. They didn't get married. So she gave this guy her virginity, and they're not getting married. It's been a year or 2 now. And she's worried about her future husband. Let me tell you something, sister. And this is something that I want everybody here to understand. Only God can judge you. And Allah tells us, if you sin, and He hasn't outed you, meaning Allah hasn't shown your sin to the world, it is not your job to open your mouth and tell everybody I sinned. It's a hadith. If you sin in the night and Allah covers it, you're not supposed to announce it during the day. And if you sin during the day, you're not supposed to announce it at night. Meaning, God is protecting you. You made a mistake, that's fine. You had the intentions of marrying this person, it didn't work out. I'll talk more about doing all of that. But people end up going into these relationships, having sex, following their desires, because we're human. It's normal. I'm not telling you go, feel ashamed. It's normal to want to do this. That's absolutely, Allah created us like this. But He created an outlet for us. So now that we know we're responsible for our own brains and our own thoughts, if I listen to my parents and I don't marry this person, then I'm going to have sex with this person and I'm going to fall into sin. Or I disobey my parents, which isn't like a major sin when they're telling you to not marry someone. I marry this person, even if you end up getting divorced. It's better to be married and divorced than to not be married and be having sex all the time, just willy-nilly. That's the truth. That is the reality. Marriage protects you. Obviously, you want to go into it and be cognizant and committed and all of that. But there's absolutely no need to burden yourself. And now this sister that has lost her virginity, the person that was going to marry her isn't going to marry her. She's stressing about her future husband. First of all, don't marry a man that'll judge you based off of your virginity. Right off the bat. I've met millions of people. Let me tell you, there's no saints among men or among women. We're humans, and Allah doesn't judge men differently and judge women differently. We all make mistakes. So forgive yourself, first of all. Have a relationship with Allah. Make sure that you ask for forgiveness. And when I say forgive yourself, meaning the shaitan sometimes doesn't let us forgive ourselves. And the reason why he doesn't let us forgive ourselves is because he wants us to fall back into it. If you never forgive yourself for doing something bad, you'll never get over it. And you'll always feel like, yeah, I'm that type of person. Like if you're someone who goes and robs people and then you never ever ask for repentance, you'll always feel like, that's just me. And you'll continue to do that. But if you actually have full repentance, you ask Allah to forgive you, but you also genuinely remove it from your heart and forgive yourself, Allah will give you better. Meet a husband that doesn't care about this stuff. Meet a husband that cares about you. Focus on becoming a good wife. What is a good wife? You know, sometimes in life we are so obsessed with what we want in a partner. Like some men will say, I want the most beautiful woman. But they'll ask for the most beautiful woman at a detriment to all of her other characteristics. She'll be rude, she'll be disrespectful, she'll be like cheating on him, she'll be doing all these other things. But he's so focused on her beauty, and because he had a beautiful woman, he will let go of all of his morals, everything he has, just because he has a beautiful woman. And he'll let her walk all over him. And more likely than not, that'll end in divorce or heartbreak, or sometimes worse things happen. So don't focus so much on one thing. Build like a general personality where you feel like, okay, I have everything someone wants, you know? Don't let our society put you into a hole. That's why a lot of our parents don't talk to you about, like, they don't talk to you and teach you about sex. They don't teach you that it's normal to have these feelings. They don't teach you that if you have these feelings, the halal thing to do is to try to get married. They don't teach these things. Why? Because they're too shy. Like, I remember in biology class, I had a biology teacher, she taught so well. Every topic she was so invested. And then when we came to learn about the reproductive system and, you know, in men and women, she made us read the textbook. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Sex is not haram. Sex is haram outside of marriage. Inside of marriage, it is worship, meaning ibadah, meaning you get good deeds for it. I mean, you know, some people are running to the masjid. Brothers want to be in the masjid all day because they think, oh, I'm getting all this ajr. But you could just get ajr with your wife at home in the bedroom. Yes, you can. I know. Some people hear this and say, oh, this is unusual. But it's not. It's the truth. The Prophet ﷺ emphasized foreplay. He emphasized playing with his wives. He emphasized joking with them, laughing with them. He would spend time with each wife. There's a hadith where he would spend time with, at the time he was married to 4 or 5, the same night he would go and visit each one. Because it's ibadah, because women have needs just as much as men. You know, sometimes we go into society and we think, oh, women don't need sex as much as men, but it's not the truth. There's a lot of women out there that end up just going and cheating and having sex with random people because they also have needs just like men. So protect yourself. If you want to get married to someone, don't think, oh, I'm a woman, I can be patient. The shaitan is very patient. And the shaitan, thank you guys so much for the gifts. Thank you so much for the gifts. The shaitan will wait for you, and eventually the devil will pull you in and will get you. It'll start with late night talks on the phone, and then later on it's video call, and then later on you develop more, and before you know it, you're not just on a phone call anymore. You're meeting in public. You're meeting in private. You're starting to have intimacy. Then you get pregnant. Then there's so many problems. Why go through that headache when you can just say, excuse me, parents, I don't want to go down this path. I see 2 options. I disobey you, I get married, and may Allah, protect me from all these sins, and inshallah we'll fix our relationship. I'll treat you kindly because God told me to. Or I listen to my parents just to please their egos, because that's what it is at the end of the day. When they tell you, don't marry that girl, I don't like her, or don't marry that man, he's black, it's because of their egos. They think they're better than someone else, and they're not. Just because they're your parents, they're not God. That's why there's a Allah at the end of the day. So don't do that to yourself. If you want to get married, get married. Like, that's the best advice I can give you. If you're in a relationship right now, I don't care how haram your relationship is. I don't care how secret it is. I don't care if nobody knows about it. Get married. Get married. And don't think too highly of yourself. There's the story of Barsisa, and I'm sure some of you have already heard this story, but he was basically the most righteous monk. He lived in a city, and there were these brothers. They had a sister, and they had to go off to war or go off to travel or something, so they needed someone to look after their sister, to make sure she had food. Back in the day, food was brought the same day. They wanted her to stay inside the house. They asked the monk, and when they first went to ask him, he said no. He said no because he didn't want his own desires to come in the way. He understood because he was a real person. Thank you so much for that gift. Thank you. You have to be real with yourself. You have to know, hey, maybe I do have weaknesses towards women. If I'm alone with a woman, maybe I'm not that great. We're not. The shaitan is pretty smart and patient. But you know what ended up happening is the shaitan came to him and told him, you're gonna let these brothers go and pick someone else to watch that girl when you know you're the best, when you know you're so righteous, you're never gonna do harm by her. Look at how he comes. Shaitan comes to us in our own voice. He comes to us in our own, he understands exactly what our weaknesses are. They say it's a qareen. Qareen meaning he runs through your blood. Meaning, do you know someone that's been with you since birth, who knows everything about you, knows your weaknesses, knows what you do in the middle of the night when everybody's asleep, knows where you go when you don't tell anyone, he knows how you dress, knows everything behind closed doors. You think that shaitan isn't going to use your weaknesses against you? Don't be too full of yourself. Don't think, oh, I'm too good, I'm not going to fall. And even if you have good intentions, even if you have the best intentions, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. I know, actions are with intentions. Thank you so much for the gifts. Remember, and nobody cares in this world about intentions. What we care about, us humans, is action. So marry. If you can't afford an expensive wedding, you don't need an expensive wedding. If you are a brother or sister and you're watching this and you're in a haram relationship and you cannot afford a wedding, I'm going to tell you right now, go find an imam, go find a day, find your 2 witnesses, sit with the imam and get married. Get married. That's the most important thing. Save. If you want to have the big wedding later on, save. And while you're saving, you can have as much sex as you want. You don't have to have the stress or the guilt. So many people will come to me and they're guilty. They feel so guilty. They just want someone to tell them it's okay. But I'm not the one who's going to tell you it's okay. Allah is the one who will tell you it's okay or not. So turn to Allah, ask Allah for forgiveness, and take actions towards bettering yourself. If you know, I love this person, I can't just break up with them, marriage is not as difficult as you make it in your head. It's not as big of a deal. Get married. Even if your parents flip, your parents throw a fit, they scream and cry and shout and all these things, it's better that they do that over you getting married than they do that over you coming home pregnant. Or over you coming home with a woman that you didn't marry that's pregnant. Like, you guys have to be accountable for your own life. We're born into this world alone and we're gonna die alone. If you're watching me right now and you're not Muslim, become Muslim. It's easy. All you have to do is say the shahada. Say, Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Very simple. You just bear witness there's one God and the final messenger is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now you're Muslim. So if you want to become Muslim, please do become Muslim. I truly believe that if you're here watching my content, there's a part of you that wants to become Muslim, and there's no reason why you should delay it. This is your message, become Muslim. And for the Muslims out there, know that God has told us that His mercy engulfs everything. Not just Muslims, non-Muslims, everybody. His mercy engulfs us, even His anger. So when He's angry at us, there's mercy in it. So trust me, be brave. If you're scared of your parents' reaction, it's cool. You know, I've seen couples where the parents will say, oh, your grandma will die if you marry this person. Oh, you know, you'll bring shame to the family. 2 years later, nobody knows this family's name. Nobody cares because everybody's living their own life. So just make sure you're good. You're good with God. You're good in your heart. And your family, you can work on that. But don't let your family stand in your way. Someone reached out and said, women today are so disrespectful and they don't want to submit. How will I ever find someone to marry? How do I find a respectful wife? Number one, where are you finding these women? Because whenever someone says these things to me, I always think, who are you and where do you hang out? Because men are leaders. This is a gentleman. Men are leaders and women will follow a good leader. So if you want to have respectful women, first you have to check yourself. Am I going to clubs and nightclubs and strip clubs and I'm just going and hanging out with random women in the street? Or am I going to find good women from good homes, women that are educated, women that are respectful? Because it's up to you. And it's not even that. Sometimes you go and you meet someone and she's from college, but she's disrespectful. Do you just sit around and let her be disrespectful just because she's pretty? Or do you say, excuse me, no, I don't accept this behavior? Do you call it out? Thank you so much for the gifts. I appreciate them. You have to be someone that lives what you want. If you want a respectful woman, you have to respect yourself. There's some men that will hang out with women that will talk bad about them and take advantage of them and use their money and all of these things just because they like to be around this pretty woman. And the woman knows it. She doesn't have any respect for him. But he also doesn't have respect for himself. You know, women are more emotional creatures. We're emotional spenders. We act on our emotions. We even connect with each other based off of our emotions. It's why sometimes women will fight with each other easily, but also they'll make up with each other easily. They get swayed easily. Women want a good leader to follow. And when you find a man that will call you out for being disrespectful or call you out for being rude, a part of you is like attracted to that. You think, that's a real man. Because most men don't do that, unfortunately. A lot of men will say, I never find respectful women. I'm like, no, you're not demanding respect. And demanding respect doesn't mean I have to be rude or I have to yell and shout and hit and all these other things. You don't have to be violent to demand respect. Demanding respect is as simple as if she's disrespectful, I'm sorry, this date is over. Pay for the lunch, or if you feel like it's not worth paying for, don't pay for it. Pay for your half. Say, thank you so much for your time, but I can't hang out with you. You're too disrespectful. And that's not what I'm looking for in a partner. And get up and leave. Don't let your bottom half think for you. Don't think with your guts and with your you-know-what. Think with your head. And I know it's harder for men. That's why I tell men, get married as soon as you can. And if you can't pick a good spouse, ask everybody around you. But the number one thing, you should have a list of what you want. You know, most people, they're so insecure and have no confidence that they just don't believe someone will like them. And what happens is the first person that likes them, they're like, that's the person that I'm going to marry. Have confidence in yourself. Have confidence in God, that God has picked a good person for you. You don't have to just settle for the first person that comes along. Thank you so much for the gifts. I appreciate them. But when you do this, when you put in your mind exactly what you want and you say, I'm deserving of this. I said earlier in this live, it's a soul mate. What does your soul want? Who are you? What do you want for life? Like, you have to answer all these questions. If you want a wife and you want 2 wives, 3 wives, 4 wives, that's okay. Don't be ashamed of what you want. If you're a woman that just wants to marry a man for a rich man, that's fine. Put that down. But I'm going to tell you, find more things. Write exactly what you want down. Don't just let, beauty and sex and money be the forefront of what you want. You want someone that is loyal. You want someone that can take care of you. You want someone that will remind you of God. You want someone that will make you happy. But when I say make you happy, I don't mean like they literally make you happy. I mean like when you look at them, you think, Alhamdulillah, like God has given me a good spouse. Thank you so much for the gifts. You have to be that type of person that has enough confidence in yourself to write down what you want. And if you have problems with confidence, I've written a book, step by step, how to have confidence. And there's a program with detailed videos that'll teach you how to have confidence on my website, collectivelymarried.com. Go check it out. The program covers everything: how to find your soulmate, how to get married, how to stay married, because most people don't know how to do that, how to have unstoppable confidence, and how to make money online from anywhere in the world. I put all of that in one program because those are like the most asked topics in relationships. And why I even talk about money is because lack of money is one of the biggest causes of divorce. Thank you so much for the gifts, guys. So all of that I put in one program. It's video content. You can go to my profile and you'll see my website right under www.collectivelymarried.com. Go check it out. But regardless, you have to be confident in what you want. Write down what you want and go out in the world believing that God will get that for you. Thank you so much for the gifts. You have to know that God's got you. I don't care what you describe. Allah has created the perfect person for you. But if you don't know who they are, because you don't know who you are, how are you ever going to find them? You're going to see anybody and you're going to be like, oh, look at her, she's pretty. I'm going to marry her. And you don't know what type of character she has. Or you see a man and you think, he has money. But you don't know if he's kind or he's violent. You don't know what type of personality he has. You don't know if he's cheating or not. You don't know all these other things. You have to have more on your list. You have to write everything you want down. Wallahi, 1 year before I met my husband, I wrote down every quality I wanted. And 1 year later, he was the exact same list in a human form. It was like Allah was like, okay, give me this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything. And it was a list of maybe like 50 things I wrote down. 50 things that I wanted in a man, and he came and he was that list. So be careful, be aware of what you want, write that down. So when you're out, you're not wasting time with people who might not marry you. Like this girl spent 5 years in a relationship. She thought she's gonna get married. She gave up her virginity. All for what? At the end, they broke up. And they broke up over, she said something silly. What? Like, how do you spend so much time with someone and give something up? So, because if you knew in the beginning, hey, maybe we don't agree on this thing, you would have saved yourself so much time. Thank you so much for the gifts. So many people have so much heartache, heartbreak, because they got together with someone just because they looked at each other, they had googly eyes, they never had someone give them attention before, they poured their soul and heart into a relationship that wasn't meant for that. I don't care if you're 12, 13, 14, 15, when you know what you want in life, a lot of us, we know we want to be doctors or soccer players, or we want to be, a model, whatever you want to be, you know it when you're a teenager. But because media is pumping these romantic shows, there are these romantic movies, Disney movies, all of that garbage, and we just watch it. Even young kids shows, like I see my kids watching shows, I have to turn them off because I'm like, why do they need to know about falling in love at the age of 4? They don't need to know these things. But they pump all of that content into your head, and they always stop at happily ever after. They got married. They don't show you what happens after. And they do this, they hypersexualize you and make you so into romance that the first person you see, even if you don't really like them, you're not actually attracted to them, but you force yourself because you think that's what you need to do. But no, my advice for you is know exactly what you want. I don't care if everybody around you tells you your list is ridiculous, that's probably better. Let them say your list. And write what you don't want. That's very important. Like if I don't like traveling or I'm scared of flights and heights, I'm not gonna marry someone that loves to travel. If I want to have 10 kids, I'm not going to marry a woman that's a lawyer, a doctor. She's busy. She doesn't have time to be at home and she doesn't want to have kids. Or maybe I marry her and marry 2, 3, 4 wives. Like, you have to have all this planning and you have to be strategic because your time is valuable. Thank you guys for the gifts. Your time is more valuable than you even know. And I'm telling you this because I've seen so many people who will talk about their heartache. They'll talk about wasted time. In relationships going in cycles. They are together, then they break up. Then they're together, then they break up. Then they're together and they break up. And they do this for years. For years. Because they don't have any self-esteem. They don't have any confidence that they'll meet someone that they actually like. So they come back to this person that has hurt them. Yes, they give them attention, but they continue to hurt you and they're not what you're looking for. You don't break up with someone you don't want to be with. Thank you so much for the gift. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You have to be someone that has confidence. Confidence is the first step in, excuse me. I'm gonna drink a little water.
Mommy, I want water.
Here you go.
Okay.
Go give it to Papa. Papa will help you. You have to have confidence in this world. Because if you don't have confidence, you're not gonna go far in life. And not just in relationships, in every aspect, in school, in business, in romance, in friendships, in anything you want, you have to believe in yourself. And part of believing in yourself is making a plan. Because when you make a plan, let's say I tell myself, I'm gonna raise $10,000 for charity, and I'm gonna give myself the year. Okay, now if I plan it, and I say, okay, this first week I'm gonna talk to X, Y, and Z. Every person, or I'm gonna try to talk to 10,000 people and everybody gives me $1. If you start planning your time, planning your schedule, doing that, you're more likely to meet those goals. And when you meet the goal, you'll feel more confident. You'll feel like I accomplished it. I can do it. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. That's why you have to be strategic. Thank you so much for the gift. You have to know what you want.